Okay, so I just want to know that were you expecting this particular score when you were, giving the exam and when you clicked on the submit button? So was there in like this thing in your mind that okay, no, I have attempted 140 right or 150 questions right, I'll be scoring rank one, I'll be scoring above 650, something like that was going on in your mind?
So uh, I can say, like, in terms of time, it's like 1 year. If I say the day I decided to give this exam, okay. So initially I registered like for the exam like in month of March, and that time I decided to give it in month of July. But that time, due to some client work,
Hello everyone, welcome to CISA This-Much. This is Aditya, and today we have with us Sandeep Singh, who has recently qualified as CISA. So Sandeep, first of all, heartiest congratulations for qualifying the exam in the first attempt. And before talking about anything, just I'm just mentioning this fact that he has got a score of 695, which is a tremendous score, and not a easy score to achieve, to be very honest. So we'll be asking a lot of questions about how he got the score, was he expecting the score, and all other stuff. But before that, heartiest congratulations for qualifying the exam in the first attempt. So how does it feel qualifying the exam in the first attempt? So I'll be asking a lot of questions, but before that, how does it feel? Because this exam, as it's not that easy to crack, and it is a very respected certification globally. So how does it feel, and what change, like what impact it brought in your career?
first of all, thank you, Aditya. And so, yeah, actually, it's really a like proud or happiest feeling to have this, like, to crack this exam in first attempt itself. Like, it's really helpful, and this is some sort of exam. So I'm doing this sort of work from last 3 years. So this is some sort of certification which will help me to grow in my career, as well as this certification helped me to understand few concepts which I never had during like my working period. So this is like some sort of certification which helped me in like grow professionally in terms of knowledge also. That, and yeah, it's really a like happiest feeling.
Okay, great to know that. So, can you please introduce yourself, your background, and what made you choose this particular certification, CISA?
So I'm like myself Sandeep Singh, and I'm like chartered accountant. I qualified my chartered accountancy exam in March 21. That time, so I like right now I'm working in a big four and working in like specific like this IT audit domain all only. So where like we perform different sort of tasks, we perform like we prepare RCMs, provide advisory services to our client. So that sort of work we do. And so I heard a lot about this certification during my like professional journey. And as I already told you, like, so I started like studying this particular course. So this, like, by studying I get to know, okay, this is something which helped me to increase my knowledge and all. So that time I like really got that push from inside, okay, I need to do this certification. And that time I like started doing it, and now I completed. So that's
Okay, so so I mean, right after your CA, you directly got into this particular IT audit field. I mean, or do you were you working in some other field and then you switched over to IT audits?
right.
Okay.
So basically, I started with this particular domain only. So I started my career around July 21. So I started with this only. Actually, I have two options that time. Like, one is financial planning and analysis, and second one is this. So I'm well aware about financial planning and analysis. And during my articleship, like, I played around like this audit, internal audits, find like budgeting and all. So I want to explore something new. So that's it. I was like, that time I was like, okay, let's explore this particular field. If I will not like it, I can again move it to something which I've already done in the past. So I've tried this one. That time I was like, yeah, it's like something new, and it's like giving me kick to proceed further, like with this particular domain. So I started working here only, and then it's like now also I'm working in this particular domain only.
Correct. Yeah. In fact, I always say that, you always have option at the start of a career. Like even if you get into some field and maybe like you feel that, you're not feeling like I mean you're not being you're not getting that interest in a specific field. You can anytime switch over to some other field, but that can be done at the start of your career. And you were I won't say lucky, but I mean you were lucky because getting this opportunity to work in IT audits and that too before qualifying a CISA. Very few people get that, right? And also working in Big Four and getting experience in multi sectors, multi domains. So that is again something which not everyone get that. But then, I mean, I have a lot of questions to ask you. But one question, before I ask you any question is, because since you got a score of 695, which is one of the highest score, among all of our students, and many people were requesting that, because it becomes very difficult for me to take interviews of a lot of people because I can ask strategies and everything, and then I can guide my students accordingly. But taking the interview and knowing the journey, the struggles, the challenges, everything of each and everyone sometimes becomes difficult. But there were a lot of requests, especially for you, because of your score, which is 695, which is highest score till date, among our students, since past 3.5 years I'm teaching this, and this is the highest score, 695, which I have seen amongst our students. And it's a score wherein, I mean, you can get a global rank. I mean, that is something which you will get a mail from ISACA if you get that. Okay. But again, this score is a top level score. Okay. So I just want to know that were you expecting this particular score when you were, giving the exam, and when you clicked on the submit button? So was there in like this thing in your mind that okay, no, I have attempted 140 right or 150 questions right, I'll be scoring rank one, I'll be scoring above 650, something like that was going on in your mind?
So somewhat I know, like when I'm submitting the exam, somewhat I know I did good. Like I'm like sure around 120 questions will be right. Less 30 questions, like it's some sort of like I cannot say like exactly practical based question, but it's some sort of question where you need to identify first most concerning things. Okay, this is something it can be based on like your judgment. Okay, so I'm not sure about basically I'm not sure about all the questions, but I'm sure like somewhat around 120 questions like those will be right. So that sort of like confidence I have.
Confidence was
But it's still it's scaled score, right? So I cannot say like it will be 695 even if you correct 120 question. It's totally like some sort of algorithm they have. So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you felt like you answered 120 questions right, so it also depends. Like, if the most difficult questions were part of those 120 questions, so you might have got extra marks for solving for answering the difficult questions right. So so there are a lot of factors for getting the scale score. But again, getting a 694 score, I mean. I know this, like approximately you need to answer more than 130 questions right, and that too if the level of questions which you answered correctly was moderate to difficult, you get to that particular range. And also it depends upon other factors as well, which I have already discussed in the video. I mean, as you mentioned that you prepared enough question answers and everything. So I mean, like, do you feel your experience also helped you here? Like, since you got the opportunity to work before going for this exam, so do you feel your experience also made you get this score? And also, how much time did it take for you to study for this entire certification, right from the day you decided, no, I want to go for this certification, I'll start learning, I'll start watching the lectures or getting the concepts, I'll start solving the question answers? So how much time it took for you, and how much time you will advise to people to give for this certification?
So I can say like in terms of time, it's like 1 year. If I say the day I decided to give this exam, okay. So initially I registered like for the exam like in month of March, and that time I decided to give it in month of July. But that time due to some client work, office pressure and all, I was not able to give the exam. I started like preparation. I like prepared it around 15 days, and that time like I was like I'm not getting that flow to like continue my studies, and then I dropped that time. Then I again started preparing around August. That time I thought I will give it in October. That time same happened. Then but you can postpone this exam till 1 year only. Like after that you cannot do that, right? So now I have a last option to give it in month of Feb or March either. So I decided to give it in month of Feb. I started my preparation from 1st of November. That time I was like, now I don't have any other option. Even like it's late night or anything, I just make like something like I can say like I made this thing in myself. Okay, I will study 1 hour or 1.5 hour daily, even if it's 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the night. So that sort of thing I have done. And on weekends, it's like I tried to solve as many questions as I can. So first 2 weeks I totally plotted to understand the concept, because there are few concepts which are like not I've never heard even like while I was working, because this is something I started my career. Okay, so it's not something you will know every concept within 2 or 3 years. So there are few concepts which I heard first time like while I was started studying for CISA. So that time, so I first 2 weeks I totally plotted or given it to like understanding the concept in depth, how those concept works, and all. In terms of like how my previous experience helped me, it helped a lot, because there are like, so we worked on like I worked on entire ITCC domains, ITEX controls and everything. So those questions are mostly related to those things only. So somewhat I know, okay, I worked on this particular thing and I know this is the right answer. There, like I don't got confused. Okay, this is first life. No, this is the first and this is the final answer. That sort of thing.
All right. So thanks for the detailed strategy. And since you also mentioned that you started studying like in the month of March last year, and but you were facing issues and challenges. So like, do you feel studying for this certification with your job, full-time job, is difficult? And like any advice or any tip you would like to share to the people, because especially people working in big fours, so they sometimes find difficult to allot time for the studies because of the work pressure. Because this particular certification can be, like there are a lot of people who finish the certification within a span of 4 to 6 months. There are people who take more time for the certification. So on an average, so ISACA advises, anywhere between 6 to 7 months to crack this exam, right? But some people, because of a lot of factors, they extend, they keep on postponing the exam date. And one of the biggest reason is coping up with the work pressure. So how do you used to manage, like because since you mentioned that even after trying the best of your level, you are not able to get that grip during the earlier months. So do you feel that it is difficult to cope up with the full-time job studying for the certification?
Yeah, it's like possible. Even like if we study around like 3 to 4 months properly, okay, dedicatedly, it's like 1.5 months daily, and on weekend you can give around 6 7 months. Then it will be helpful. Just thing is like you need to make yourself more disciplined when you have work in your hand. And to work in Big Four, it's like really difficult to manage like studying, to have your personal life, to have like this certifications and all. But this is something like you need to make yourself disciplined. Okay, no matter like if, even it's like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I will give 1 hour daily at least to this course, so that it will not break my flow to go ahead. So that's what I did, because in month of March and again in month of August, I realized, okay, I'm not putting that much effort. And if it's 1 a.m., I was like, okay, let's close everything. It's done for the day. But that will not help you if you want to crack the certification with your work. So you need to make yourself more disciplined. Then it's not something like which is more like most and more difficult, but it's something like it's require your discipline, or it's require like efforts to crack this exam.
All right. My next question to you is, what was the strategy like? Did you, devoted some time for the revision? Since you mentioned, like, you studied the concepts, you saw a lot of question answers and everything. So, did you have a proper planning in your mind that, once I'll be finishing this, I'll be doing this revision, that revision? So, what was the overall strategy?
So in terms of revision, so as I told you, I started my proper studies from 1st of November till 14th. I have a target to understand all the concepts and to have everything in my mind. That time I revised once again, like every concept, because that time it's like something you need to understood practically. It's not something like you need to learn. Okay. So I revised concept that time twice. Okay. Then I started solving the questions. And at the end, like I scheduled my exam on 5th of Feb. So from 26th of January, I was on leave. And that time, first, I revised the concepts again. I tried to retain those concepts which I forgot till that time. So I just tried to recall everything. Okay, this is, I know, this is something I forgot. That sort of revision I have done. And then again, I have like, so I identified few questions which are tricky or which like are not covered in most of like, so there are few unique questions which are covered in this question bank, but not in the other question bank. So try to find out those questions and just solve those questions during those days. It's around 2000 questions. I solved those questions and it helped me a lot in exam as well. So that sort of revision strategy I have.
All right. So thank you for sharing the detailed strategy. My next question to you is like, since like this is applicable for a person who is having experience in IT audit, so sometimes you find that what you are doing practically in your job might not match with what you're studying. Sometimes it happens, right? Because we say that sometimes you need to unlearn and learn things, right? So whatever things you know and whatever things you do practically, you need to unlearn, and then you need to learn the right ISACA mindset. So did you find that kind of thing during your study process, like maybe any area wherein you thought, okay, I mean, maybe what I'm doing in my job is slightly different than what I'm supposed to know as per the ISACA mindset.
Yeah, generally it's not there, but sometime you will like find, okay, this is the case, but then you like it can be case, okay, you are doing something in your job, okay, it's related to, it's totally depend on your client also, like what sort of requirement they have and how we need to proceed, okay, but this books and all the concepts will be like line wise, okay, this is the way you need to proceed to have a best outcome. Okay, so if I do this ISACA question bank, okay, so there we have like explanation to each and every answer. So there are a few cases when I was solving that, I was like, okay, this is something I've done during my like works during my professional journey, but this is something which is mentioned here. Then I try to understand their way of explanation. Okay, this is the reason, this can be the answer. That also like helped me to like make my knowledge enhancement. Okay, this is the also way we can think of, okay, this is the way I can apply this thing in my real life also. So it's really helpful only. This is something like it's totally depend on client to client. So it's nothing I have not like, this is something I've learned during my professional journey and this is something which is mentioned. It's like just based on condition or situation.
Yeah, so guys, this is what we say, having a positive mindset. So because what happens is that sometimes some people, they get agitated, because of these questions. They feel that, okay, no, I know something else. I need to learn something else. But instead of having that thought, you need to think in his way, what he told, that it also enhances your knowledge. Okay, so I was doing a specific task. I was thinking in this particular angle, but this is also one of the way to think, over this particular area. So, this is how you need to, handle these kind of situations. It normally doesn't come, but it comes sometimes for a person who is way more experienced, a person with more than 1 or 2 decades of experience. For those people, these kind of issue comes normally, right? And this is how you need to approach it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
Basically, so we are in learning phase, right? So it's better to learn different angles. It will help only. It's nothing like this is some different angle. This is some angle I've worked on. So better to learn different angle. It will help you in real life also.
yeah, correct. I agree with you. Yeah. So any last minute tip or whatever advice you want to give it to the future CISA aspirants who are watching your interview?
So nothing like that, but just I can say like when you start preparing for CISA, just make yourself disciplined. Just try to put regular efforts. It's not something like you study for 4 days and then you drop it for 4 days. Just try to put regular efforts. Try to solve as many questions as you can. You can find out like multiple thousands of questions there are on the Google. Might be like it will not come in exam and you're not sure whether it will come in your exam or not, but ultimately it will enhance your knowledge because every question will give you something to learn, every unique question. So that sort of you can try to solve multiple questions, try to make yourself disciplined, and just go ahead. It like take around 3.5 months to crack the exam if you like do it like study on a regular basis. So that's what I can suggest.
All right. So thank you so much for sharing your detailed journey, your experiences, and everything. And I hope that your interview will definitely help a lot of CISA aspirants who are watching your lecture. So thank you so much, and heartiest congratulations once again for the success.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you.